One of the areas that assistants can really add value when they're working with founders is kind of understanding the amount of stress that founders are under, and
Yeah.
the added pressure that comes when it's somebody's business. So I wonder just how you've gone about helping your executive deal with that pressure that they're under, and any advice that you can give for assistants who work with maybe founders, but also other CEOs that have real stressful and pressurized roles.
Sure. Yeah. I think, yeah, it's inevitable that they're going to have a lot on their plate. So being really efficient with your communication, I think, is one thing. You don't want to add to their plate by overloading them with things. So managing their time, managing how you interact with them also, um, is important. And then assessing and making decisions for them about how to best utilize their time. So let's say they're traveling, who else can they meet from their network whilst they're there? Take those decisions off their plate, which, you have to get to know them first to make those decisions. But over time, you can sort of take those risks, manage those risks, and take them for them. So they're not having to worry about things, you've already done it. And I think that is a big stress reliever, because all that kind of admin stuff they don't want to be thinking about. They want to be thinking about the high level strategy. Is their inbox just a mess? Can you just spend some time organizing it, putting a system in place, and then agreeing a system with them? Have they got too many meetings that are kind of redundant or overlapping, or do we need to analyze why they're spending this amount of time? So all those sort of little ways to relieve stress, I think, help.
I think it comes with having a real awareness of the organisation as well. I think you cannot get away with working with a founder and not knowing the
Yeah.
business and understanding the strategy of the organisation and the objectives. Renee, to bring you in, what are the areas that you find help when your executive is under pressure and you can kind of sense it and see it?
So I think, we have a good barometer for what's happening. And I think, like Lucy said, having your executive's inbox is very important, because you can see in real time maybe what's happening at the moment. And you'll be able to kind of have a sense of, okay, is this a good time to bring up this topic? And, we use a structured calendar system, and we block certain things into certain dates and certain times so that we leave cushions in between meetings,
Mm.
because there is a lot of pivoting going on. And one of the important things is to build in time for your executive to be able to shift mental gears. And I think people don't always think about that. They're like, oh, you go to this meeting, you go to this meeting. Well, a lot of people, the way that they think, and I've seen it up close and personal, obviously, is you think about how they think 10 steps down the road and 10 steps back. And they do that in scenarios, right? So they're looking all these outcomes. They're standing on this point and they're looking down the road and saying, okay, if I do this, there's this scenario. And they do that maybe 5 or 6 different ways, and they look at what the outcome is going to be, and then they come back and then they pick which one they want to do. So there's a lot of pivoting going on all the time. So you need to leave blank space and do not disturb space for your executive to be able to maybe think about those things and kind of churn the gears a little bit, so that they can decide, okay, how do I really want to tackle this? So in terms of the calendar and structuring, it's very important to leave think time for them. And then, like I said, kind of like sanity cushions in between. It's like, okay, I just got done with this really big meeting. I need to decompress now and kind of take everything in that just happened. And so that would be another thing too. Like, you don't want to be texting your executive during that meeting, because that's going to disrupt the flow of what they're working on. So really think about your communications, how you are interacting and when you are interacting, and really stepping into that person's shoes and saying, how are they feeling right now? What are they feeling right now? And then just that's how I think we engage our empathy, to really let the other person know, I'm thinking about you this way so that I can understand where your mind is. And I think them knowing that we do that can give them a lot of comfort in saying, okay, I know this person is actually thinking about me and how I'm rolling through my day.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of stress taken away when your executive knows that you're the assistant who's got their back. Just that in itself, and you're there empathizing and understanding what their day looks like. That's a huge amount of stress taken away from an executive who's mostly people are taking from them, rather than someone giving to them. So absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Heather, to bring you in, is there anything you would add?
Yeah, I really like that, what Renee was saying about, the buffers in between meetings. And again, I think it also comes down to the executive style. So, every executive works differently. And I've always tried to encourage not having the back-to-back meetings and meetings that are glued to each other, because things run over, time slips away. But it's also being empathetic or understanding, well, right about now would be a good time to have a Diet Coke. So, it sounds silly, but actually I take that, to heart, because they're busy, they're in the back-to-back meetings, or it could be just a simple coffee to bring them. And I'm quite happy to do that because it's a small startup company. I'm aware of all the demands and pressures on their shoulders. So just doing that can actually make their morning. So being intuitive to those things.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be complicated, does it? Sometimes it is the simplest things to make all the difference. So yeah, grabbing someone a Coke really doesn't have to, it's not a complicated thing.
I have an
But it just,
intuitive
makes them
sense.
happy.
Yeah. And also, making sure that they need to leave by a certain time to get home to their families.
We need to gatekeep. I think that's what we've all been alluding to as well, is pushing back a little bit. We've all said it in different ways, but protecting their family time is also a good way to help them have downtime. And maybe if they go, if they have the PT session, make sure they always get it, or if they've got time with a coach, don't sacrifice those things for an investor call. Make sure that you protect both sides.
That's right, Lucy. And I think, one of the things I did over last year was I put vacation time in their calendar, which was not done before. And they see these vacation days showing up. I said, yeah, you're taking next Friday or Monday off. That goes back to my point about not asking for permission, being bold and confident and decisive. Of course, it could get moved. They might not take it, but I'm kind of there to protect their well-being so they don't burn out.